Travis Wesley is having one of the most frustrating days of his life. After all, it wasn't every day that your beautiful 23-year-old wife told you she was seeing other men, starting tonight. Travis sat at the kitchen table with his hand around his glass of monkey shoulder scotch. He hadn't taken a sip of the amber liquid in 10 minutes, just sat staring straight ahead, not seeing, not hearing, but definitely feeling. Sick as a dog. Travis knew there wasn't enough Alka-Seltzer in the world to make his stomach stop hurting. He'd heard stories of other people's wives telling them they were going to date other men, but he'd always assumed it was just an urban legend. How could a woman assume that her loving husband would allow her to date other men? He knew what the word cuckold meant, but he just couldn't believe that a woman could be so callous to her own husband, so blatantly selfish in her desires. And so 45 minutes passed. Of course, it was Monday, but it was a good day at the firm where Travis worked, and he was even out the door a few minutes after 5 p.m. whistling a cheerful little song. He was still feeling pretty chipper when he walked into the house and found his wife sitting at the kitchen table sipping a glass of red wine with a glass and bottle of his favorite whiskey in its usual place. He put down his briefcase and poured himself 3 fingers of the liquid before leaning back in his chair. "What's the mystery here, Lauren?" Travis asked, noticing the crooked half-smile on his wife's face. His wife looked him straight in the eye and smirked. A sly expression appeared in her gaze. He moved nervously in his chair. "Do you think, Trev, I've been a good wife and mother all these years?" she asked nonchalantly. Travis furrowed his eyebrows. His wife knew he was a quiet, brooding man, and she could practically see the wheels turning in his head before he answered. "Yes, it is. So? Do you think I should get some sort of reward?" she asked in the same indifferent tone. A few more seconds passed while Travis again carefully considered the question. "A reward for doing what a good wife and mother should do? Do I get a reward for doing what a good husband and father should do?" "What the hell are you asking me, Lauren?" Travis asked irritably. "Travis, I want to go on a date with another man tonight," she said, calm as a lake on a beautiful morning. Travis was glad he sat down. He could feel the bile rising in his body. His thoughts were like a freshly scrubbed chalkboard, completely blank. A date? He squeezed out of himself with difficulty. With another man? Lauren looked at her husband like a neglectful child. She nodded slowly. "Yes, with another man, Trav. I haven't been on a date with another man since you and I became exclusive 24 years ago. I've been a good wife to you, a good mother to the kids, and I deserve a date with another man. A chance to try someone new. Not someone to love, but someone you can have fun with. Just have fun," she said. "I'm 47, and I'm not going to be beautiful forever. I want to experience more men while I'm still a desirable woman and can get them at the snap of my fingers." Travis's lower jaw slowly dropped. He knew he'd heard his wife's words correctly, but couldn't she have meant exactly that? He didn't even need to ask that question. Lauren nodded her head at him, as if she'd read his mind. "Damn," he muttered as she rose from the table and headed up the stairs to the bedroom to change. When Lauren came downstairs, she looked stunning in a little black dress that practically skimmed her gorgeous body. It came to mid-chest in the front without a bra and barely reached mid-thigh. Her makeup was light. A beautiful woman needs a lot of makeup, and her long blonde hair was gathered into a high ponytail. It was a stunning moment. Lauren saw that in that moment she belonged completely to her husband. Then, "I'm not going to let this happen, Lauren," Travis said, getting up from the table. "I don't know what you're allowing to happen, but you won't do it and you will remain my wife." Lauren's radiant smile turned into an ugly grin. "You're not going to ruin this night for me, Trav. You sure talk tough, but you know you're not going to divorce me over this. Where are you going to find a woman like me if you let me walk away? You won't, and you know it. And the kids are going to be mad at you for ruining our family." "I agree, Travis. Let me have fun for a few years and then we'll be just you and me again and grow old together. You know you love me. You don't want to be alone for the rest of your life while I have my choice of men? A car horn sounded. Lauren grabbed a small bag and walked over to Travis, trying to kiss him goodbye. Her husband flinched as if from a mild shock and jerked aside. For a moment, Lauren looked surprised and hurt. Then her expression changed to anger. "I'll be home when I get back," she growled and staggered away. He watched in horror as she walked out the door. Had his 23-year marriage come to an end? It looked like it was. Lauren didn't even look back at him as she walked out the door. Scientists have established a sad but true fact. People with good looks have an advantage in life over their more ordinary peers. They make friends more easily, people pay more attention to them, and teachers tend to give them better grades. In Lauren's case, things worked out just fine. She quickly realized that if she flapped her eyes and smiled, she could get almost any boy she wanted. Like almost all the boys she'd interacted with, Travis had fallen under Lauren's spell almost from the first time he'd met her. His family had moved to town the summer just before he went into 8th grade. He met Lauren on his first day of school and was quickly charmed. Travis was a pretty good athlete and was popular with the other students. He finally worked up the courage to ask Lauren out junior year style, and she accepted. They became a couple, and this continued until the first few weeks of her freshman year at the local high school, when Lauren dumped the young man in favor of a junior, Landon Estes, who was a player on the school's soccer team. Travis was 5'4", 110 pounds as a freshman, and Estes was 6'2", 190 pounds. Although his feelings were hurt, Travis accepted his fate. He realized that Lauren was no match for him in looks. Furthermore, most of the boys at school didn't match Lauren in looks. Because Lauren was dating a soccer player, she socialized with the popular boys at school. Travis was one of the faceless minions roaming the hallways. He dated and befriended select students, but never socialized with Lauren Soames again during their high school years. He noted that the few times she had come face-to-face with him, she had acted as if he was a complete stranger. The first time it happened, he got angry, but then he learned to accept it. By his senior year of high school, Travis had grown 9 inches and gained 40 pounds. He was a handsome and athletically built young man, but he was a long way from Lauren. Of course, not many people were like that. He went to the prom with his attractive but unassuming girlfriend. Lauren was the prom queen, and her date was the prom king. After high school, Travis enrolled at Michigan State University to study accounting. During his 4 years of study, he dated several girls, but he did not have serious romances. Lauren attended Central Michigan University as a marketing major. During her college years, she dated and slept with many men, including a marketing professor when she needed to turn a B into an A. By pure coincidence, they both got jobs in Grand Rapids after college graduation. About a year after graduating from college, Travis and a few of his co-workers were enjoying a Friday night dinner and socializing at a popular bar-restaurant when Lauren and 2 women walked in. All heads immediately turned to look at the spectacular woman in the green dress. Lauren hardly paid any attention to it because at this point everything was expected, and she was already used to it. "Who is this goddess?" Steve White wheezed, addressing the entire table of co-workers. Before he could consider his words, Travis reflexively replied, "That, ladies and gentlemen, is Lauren Soames." Everyone seated at the table turned their heads from the woman to Travis, many of them mouths agape. "Do you know her?" one of them asked incredulously. Travis grimaced. He hated drawing attention to himself, any attention. "I was about 14. As soon as we moved on to middle school, I was toast. And she ignored me all 4 years like I was the invisible man," he said quietly. "So do you at least have a good groping story?" Joked one of the women. At the table. "Hell, I'd grope him in a heartbeat, and I'm sure everything would be fine, at least at this table." The whole team broke into unrestrained laughter. It made Lauren and her friends look over at each other. For a second, she thought she recognized one of the men at the table, but she wasn't sure. The trio sat down at a nearby table, with Lauren sitting facing the table of the man she thought she knew. "Dude, you're not gonna go over and say hi to that walking wet dream, are you?" White inquired. "Jesus, Steve, you're drooling." "Very unimpressive," said the first interviewee, Casey Gardello. "She pretended for 4 years that she didn't know me. I don't know why she brought me up now," Travis said. Several people nodded in agreement. Lauren continued to study the man while enjoying her food. Then she snapped her fingers and pointed at the man. "Not nice, Lauren," one of her friends said. "If you point at someone in a restaurant, you might get offended in some places." Lauren ignored her friend's remark. "I'll be right back," she announced. "I need to say hi to an old friend." Lauren practically jumped up from her chair and walked over to the table where Travis was sitting. "Trav." "Hi, it's really good to see you," Lauren exclaimed, walking over to him. Travis rolled his eyes at his friends and then turned to face his former classmate with a fake happy expression on his face. "Lauren, it's good to see you," Travis said with almost no emotion in his voice as he rose to his feet. Lauren stepped into Travis' personal space and kissed him gently on the lips, placing her hands on his shoulders. His co-workers sat stunned. Travis, in turn, was stunned as well. Lauren realized this and gave him a not entirely innocent smile. She felt very comfortable playing this game and knew it was far from easy for him. "Let's go to our table and I'll introduce you to the girls," she said. She took his hand and practically dragged him with her to their table. He spent most of the rest of the evening with Lauren and her two friends. Before he left, Lauren took his cell phone, wrote down his number, and entered hers. Lauren was more than intrigued that Travis seemed to be indifferent to her. That had never happened to her before. He was polite in the restaurant, but he talked to her two friends as much as he talked to her. She kissed him on the lips several times during the evening, but he never once returned the kiss. On Monday morning, Travis's co-workers who were at the bar with him pounced on him, wanting to know how his relationship with the goddess had turned out. They were stunned when he told them he stayed another hour and then headed home to Alona's house. "She's amazing, but she's 14 levels above me. I get it," he growled. "I don't need that kind of aggravation." That kind of aggravation was waiting for Travis in the parking lot outside his workplace 2 Friday afternoons later when he got off work. He grumbled to himself as he saw her waiting for him at his car. "Why didn't you ever call, Trav?" she said. They drove to a restaurant off the road and enjoyed a nice dinner. They had an unforgettable time that evening. Although Travis had his doubts about this woman, mostly related to her sense of self-worth, their relationship was slowly getting better. Her beauty was obvious, but he was slowly falling in love with who Lauren was. He bought an engagement ring, but before he proposed to her, they sat down and discussed their thoughts on fidelity. She impressed him, but Travis wanted nothing left unsaid between them. "Obviously, I know a little about your past. I'm not going to ask for numbers or names," Travis said as they sat down at the table for a serious conversation. "What was in the past will remain in the past, the same goes for me. But I need to know about the future. From now on, I want us to be exclusive, completely. No ifs, ands, or buts. Unless you honestly believe you can do that for us, I need to know about it now. If you can, well." He placed a small black box on the table between them. Lauren looked directly into Travis's eyes and then at the box. "I will never cheat on my husband. Never." Travis opened the box. "I will never cheat on my husband. Never." Travis remembered those words. Apparently, his wife didn't consider it cheating since she'd warned him beforehand, but he knew better. She hoped he'd see it that way because otherwise, he didn't see it that way. Travis knew that Lauren had had plenty of opportunities to cheat over the years, and as far as he could tell, she'd rejected all those opportunities like a good wife should. She was a 10, Hell, she was a 12, and he considered himself a 6 at best. That left plenty of room for someone closer to her physical level to sneak in and make themselves known. Assuming she hadn't had an affair he didn't know about, she'd been a real wife for 23 years. Travis knew he should be grateful for those years, but he wasn't. When he said, "I love," he wanted it to be forever, not a measly 23 years. Truth be told, not a week went by that Lauren didn't get a proposal from someone. Not just men. She knew she wasn't just beautiful, she was stunning. A rare goddess among simply beautiful women. When God created his wife, he had an extraordinary day, Travis always said. At first, Lauren told Travis about each of her courtships, trying to be completely transparent. But after a few years, Travis told her that he trusted her enough that she didn't need to spill everything to him. The only time he wanted to know she was being hit on was if a man didn't take her first rejection. Then he would take the necessary steps to blow the offender off. Travis, on the other hand, was rarely hit on by women. Part of the reason for this was that he used his wedding ring almost as a shield. Within minutes of meeting a woman, Travis would mention his wife and children in enthusiastic tones, which usually extinguished any spark that flared up. He never realized what he was doing, and it repelled most women before they even had a chance to flirt. Lauren hadn't realized her husband was pushing away potential flirts. Or worse. The almost fairy tale marriage lasted 22 years before Rosa Esposito entered the proverbial Garden of Eden, or rather, went to work at the same public relations firm as Lauren. To quote a Bob Seger song, she was a dark-haired beauty with big brown eyes. She attracted men the way a strong magnet attracts metal. In any other office, she would have been an alpha female. But at Superior Solutions, she was at best a loyal assistant to the most beautiful woman on the planet. Rose, 42, had been married for 15 years, but she said she wasn't a fanatic about it. She had several affairs with her husband's knowledge and several more without his knowledge, and she often shared stories about her adventures with Lauren. She was a very good storyteller. "So you haven't tried to date anyone since you got married? You're a rock woman, but I don't believe you don't want to," Rose said one day during a coffee break at work. "Well, I'm not saying I'm not interested, but I would never cheat on Travis," Lauren said. In recent months, Lauren has noticed that she doesn't get as much attention from men in bars and restaurants as she used to. She noticed that more and more of the looks that used to be directed in her direction were going to younger women. She began to doubt her visual persuasion abilities. "Let's play the what-if game. What if Hubs had let you take a sample?" "What then?" Rose asked. It was obvious from the look on Lauren's face that she had never thought of such a scenario before. The wheels in her head were spinning frantically. "I guess if I had permission, it would be a different story," Lauren admitted with a sheepish grin. "Have you never thought about asking permission?" Rose asked. "You know that anything worth having is worth asking for." Lauren had never thought about it before. Her face lit up and then lowered. "He'll never give me permission. Never," Lauren said. "Am I going to have to do all the work here?" Rose asked. "Unspoken permission. Tell him, and then take what you want regardless of his answer. Tell him he loves you enough to let you do it. You can get through this because love has nothing to do with it. You only love him." Travis was awakened by the sound of a car pulling up to the house. Glancing at the clock, he realized it was a few minutes after 3 in the morning. Glancing at the bottle of Woodford Reserve, he realized he'd finished about half of it. "Big night, huh?" he teased Lauren as she walked through the front door. Travis looked closely at the cliché his wife had turned into. Her hair was combed but disheveled. Her makeup was missing and her clothes looked rumpled. She looked far from remorseful but smug. "I could have told you the same thing," she hissed. "You didn't have to wait, you know." "I'm going to bed. Will you come?" "Maybe never again in my life with you," he snapped. Lauren threw him a look of utter disgust and headed up the stairs. Travis poured 3 more fingers of bourbon into his glass and went back to watching ESPN. Travis spent the night in his lazy boy chair, half dozing, half drinking, and his stomach rumbling. Around 9, he finally got out of his chair and made himself breakfast. As he ate, he heard the shower turn on in the master bathroom. Here comes the slut, he thought to himself. Under normal circumstances, Travis would have expected his wife to come downstairs in a robe and with her hair wrapped in a towel. This morning, she hadn't come downstairs for about an hour. And when she did, she was dried, dressed, and wearing makeup, looking as flawless as ever. He'd expected nothing less. "Did you happen to leave me anything to eat?" she asked. She asked. She asked. "I brewed a big pot of coffee, but you'll be eating on your own. And since you're being domestic, I think now would be a good time to talk," he said firmly. Lauren was surprised at how unemotional Travis seemed. She had expected him to be just seething and irrational, which meant he would be easier to manipulate. A rational Travis would make the conversation much harder, she reasoned to herself. "You want to know about last night?" she asked softly. Softly, she asked. Softly asked. Travis caught the note of superiority in her tone. Did she really think he wanted to know how he'd been tricked? "Hardly. What I want to know is, how do you see this marriage going forward?" Travis said, his voice no louder than hers. "Like I said yesterday, I'm going to try a few other men over the next couple years. But that's not love. I only love you, but I want to try a few more men while I still have my looks and body. I have given you everything for 23 years. I have never had a thought of cheating. I want a thrill, a little weirdness. You're great in bed, but I want a change. You know, get a little different experience, and then you and I will ride off into the sunset together, and I'll be grateful for the experience, and I'll spoil you for the rest of our lives," Lauren said. Travis listened intently to Lauren as she made toast and jam for the coffee. He thought the way she was making toast while talking about the most important thing in his life seemed rather nonchalant. He had so many questions. "Is this all because you want variety? You can't get enough of me," he wheezed. She started to answer, but he interrupted her. "So you want to have an open marriage for a few years and then go back to monogamy sometime in the future? Does that mean I'll be able to date other people?" Lauren tried unsuccessfully to suppress a giggle. The very thought of her sweet, quiet husband asking out another woman was ridiculous. Travis was the most married man she'd ever met. However, if that was what it took to get him to say yes— "Basically, yes," she replied. "Of course, I'm assuming it would just be entertainment for you." Travis raised his eyebrows and shrugged. Lauren hadn't imagined such a move. She did, however, have a thought. "So, would you like to go on a date with Rosa? You know, the very beautiful woman from my office." "I'm sure she'd love to say yes," Lauren said, knowing that her friend would have no problem entertaining her husband, especially if it meant helping Lauren achieve her goal of having fun with other men and still being married. Travis looked puzzled. "I'd love to go on a date with Rose, but no thanks, babe. That would make me a total lecher," he said. Lauren's face started to blur into a smile, but then was quickly replaced by a grimace of anger. "I'm not a whore," she shouted. "If you insist, baby," he said much more seriously than she might have expected, "I still won't agree to it." "Then get over it, baby, because I'll do it even if you don't agree," she hissed. Rose walked into Lauren's office on Monday around 11 a.m. and found that Lauren didn't look happy. "To hell with that prude and the horse he rode in on," hissed Lauren, closing the office door behind Rose. "Hell, he even turned down a date with you." Rose frowned. "I didn't realize I was on the menu. But the hell with it. How could he turn down something like that?" she said, stroking her body with her hands. "What about the date? Did you have a good time or did Travis ruin it?" Rosa asked. "The date was fantastic," Lauren enthused. Who do you think I should try next? Both women laughed heartily. Lauren was glad she hadn't been served with divorce papers right away. Since she and her husband had barely spoken, she'd decided it would be wise not to ask about his plans at all. Although he hadn't mentioned it to his wife, Travis really didn't want to rush into a divorce. He hoped she would quickly come to her senses and abandon her foolish cuckold plans. He believed that he could forgive her, and they could forget her misbehavior if she would stop this foolishness. His hopes were strengthened when Lauren didn't go on a date the following week, even though he still hadn't returned to the bedroom and they still hadn't communicated in a positive way. The following Friday night, however, Lauren was again dressed to the hilt, clearly ready for a date. Are you seriously going to do this again? With the same guy, or are you going to entertain someone new this week? Travis asked sharply. Damn, Trav, didn't you listen to a word I said? This isn't about you, it's about me. And about my desire to get something before I'm too old to attract anyone. It's not that I want you any less, it's just that I want more, and different. You know I get hit on all the time, I just want to enjoy it. I'll always come back to you. What if I don't want you to come back to me? I won't share you, I won't sit back while you have fun. I'm not made for that. I won't wait for you to try out half the male population of our town. I wasn't sure when you had your first date, but I think I can get over it. Once might be stupid, but twice is the ultimate disrespect, the ultimate betrayal. Go out all night. Stay out forever. It's over between us. I wasn't put on this earth to take shit from you. Wah, 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 she said, making talking motions with the fingers of her right hand. You know you don't want to lose me. This doesn't have to be an either-or situation. Travis had instructed his attorney to prepare the paperwork as early as last week, hoping it wouldn't be necessary. He was going to call his wife Monday morning, but first he needed to call his two daughters and tell them about it. Neither Jackie, 21, nor Michelle, 19, believed their father when he called them that night, at least at first glance, but after talking to both of them, he found that the older daughter had a hunch that something was wrong. You knew she was going to pull this shit and you didn't tell me? Etta, he yelled over the phone. Don't you think I've earned the right to know what's going to happen? Please, Daddy. I've been put in a very difficult position. One of you will not be pleased with me no matter how I play it. Besides, it's her body. It doesn't belong to you. And if she wants to share it... Don't, Travis shouted. I understand that she put you between us, but don't tell me she can do whatever she wants whenever she wants because it's her body. We gave vows. Vows that go beyond speech about her body. I, she mumbled briefly, then fell silent. Shit, baby. I'm sorry, Daddy, she whispered. Lauren was shocked and embarrassed when she was handed the divorce papers at the office Monday morning. She burst into tears and ran to the ladies' room. Rose came out a few minutes later, hearing a commotion. You should have known he would at least make you file the papers, Rose said. You hurt him badly, baby. This is his way of hurting you back, something like that. Men are such babies. He's trying to force his hand on you. He's not going to give up a 23-year marriage and half his stuff. Give him a week alone and living on his own and he'll come crawling back. Straightening up, Lauren walked back to her desk, picked up her phone and immediately dialed her husband's number. How could you do this to me? In the office, in front of everyone? I know you're hurting, but I deserve better than this, Trev, she practically screamed into the phone. After 23 years, didn't I deserve better than your unilateral decision to end our marriage? If I wasn't right for you, couldn't you have just given me advance notice and we could have separated like civilized people? Travis said. I don't want civilized people. I don't want a divorce. I still love you. You still love me, she wailed. I still love you, but that love diminishes every time you have fun with someone else, he growled. My love is not a bottomless well. Like you, I always thought it was. And who would have thought it was? We were both wrong. Lauren fought the divorce her attorney had asked for and received marriage counseling even though Travis was adamantly opposed. Lauren smiled, and Travis frowned as they were led into the inner sanctum of the counselor's sanctuary and caught Lillian Camacho in one of the chairs behind the counselor's desk. Most marriage counselors considered it their job to reconcile divorcing couples, and there seemed to be a preference for female counselors. The couple took two of the three available seats at the table. The counselor cleared her throat, signaling that she was beginning. "I've read both of your cases and reviewed your statements," Ms. Camacho began. "Let's start with the simplest one. Mrs. Wesley, did you actually tell your husband that you were going to be seeing other men for several years?" Travis tried hard not to let the counselor see his smirk. Lauren was trying hard not to let the counselor see how shocked she was. She thought about lying, but then realized she had no cover for that lie. "Yes. Yes, I told him that," she replied quietly. "It's something I don't need, for him to do for me. It won't affect our marriage." "Well, I think we'll call it a day," the counselor said. "I'm sorry to have wasted your time, Mrs. Wesley. I'll talk to the judge and end this whole mess." But, but, Lauren stammered. "Honey, if you thought for 1 minute that what you did to your husband would go away with me, you're out of your mind. You should be ashamed of yourself, but apparently you don't have an ounce of shame in you. Frankly, you disgust me." "Ms. Yes," Camacho said. For the next month, Lauren called and texted Travis several times a day while he rented a small apartment near his home. He didn't return her calls or texts. Then she enlisted the help of their daughters, who called several times. "Dad, you know you still love her. If she stopped seeing other men, would you give her another chance?" Michelle asked during one of those calls. "So she continues to do this even after I forced her to serve?" Travis asked in a trembling voice. All he got in response was silence. That was all the answer he needed. Michelle never called again to ask him to try again. Travis was surprised at how quickly word of his impending divorce spread, especially among single women. Several female co-workers at his work expressed condolences about his marital problems, as well as several women who were friends of both himself and his wife. He was smart enough to realize that not all of their condolences were altruistic. Connie Myong, a longtime friend of his wife's, had called to express her regret for what was happening in Travis's life. She unobtrusively offered him a shoulder to cry on. Travis was shocked that his wife's close friend was hitting on him so openly. In all the years they'd known each other, the divorced woman had never once cast even an oblique glance at him. "I would never pursue a friend's husband. It's just wrong," she told him. "But now that you're a free man, the rules have changed. I'm letting you know I'm interested in you." "I'm shocked. I'm flattered. But I'm not a free man yet, Connie, and I won't date until the divorce is final." "I know what I'm doing is stupid, but I won't cheat," Travis said. "You're such a Boy Scout, Trav. That's one of the things I like about you. Always have." "Can I at least get you a date when you're free?" Connie said. "Sure," said Travis, "but I don't want to come between you and Lauren. After all, you've been friends for years." "I appreciate your sensitivity, but just because she's a coward doesn't mean I have to miss out on a good man." "I wouldn't give it a second thought if you were just a strange guy and we just met," Connie said. "Maybe I'll call you when the leash is down," Travis joked. Travis proved true to his word and called Connie the day his divorce became official. Saturday night, they went out to a restaurant and then to a local jazz club. Both were pleased with the date and he promised to call again. Travis hadn't thought to take off his wedding ring on the day of the final divorce, but apparently it was a big deal for single women. Several female coworkers noticed the empty spot on his ring finger and commented on it, and suddenly the level of flirting in his office increased noticeably. This was new to him, and one day at lunch he told his best friend in the office about it. "There are a lot of beautiful women in this office. How did I not notice that before?" Travis asked. "You, buddy, were just a bastard," replied Robert Ardito. You were so in love with that woman that you wouldn't even look at the others. And maybe that was part of the problem. She's constantly being looked at. She has value. And you were so emasculated and gave off such a vibe that no woman would even look at you. In the first month after his divorce, Travis went on 4 dates, 2 of them with Connie. He never managed to sleep with any of the 3 women he went on dates with, but that wasn't his goal. The second month, he was just as busy and slept with 2 women. Travis's daughters, who had gotten along better with their mother than with their father in recent months, kept hearing her claim that she could get any man with a snap of her fingers, while their father was an average man in his 40s who had trouble even finding a date, let alone a steady girlfriend. They felt sorry for their father, and one Saturday morning, about 2 months after the divorce, they showed up unannounced at his apartment. Travis wasn't happy to be woken up at 8:36, especially since he had entertained his companion late the night before. Sonia, a 25-year-old girl, was the daughter of a friend of a friend of a friend who needed a reliable girlfriend for a wedding reception. The evening went so well that the couple decided to end it at Travis's apartment. At that moment, she was already asleep in his bed when he opened the door in his robe. "What?" he asked, as he swung the door open and saw the smiling faces of his daughters holding bags of bagels, lox, and cream cheese. "Hey, Dad, can't your 2 favorite daughters stop by with breakfast?" Jackie said as the couple entered the house. Travis kissed both of them on the cheek and led them to the kitchen table where they emptied the bags they carried in their hands. They were just stacking bagels when Sonia came out of the bedroom wearing one of Travis's white shirts, half buttoned up. And probably nothing else. "I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were expecting company, kiddo," Sonia said. "Mom said you were a free agent." Both girls blushed as Sonia poured herself a cup of coffee. No, Sonia, these are my daughters, Jackie and Michelle," he said, pointing to the daughter with the appropriate name. "They're here for breakfast." "Bagel and lox?" Sonia giggled. They made small talk for a while until Jackie asked if Travis had talked to Lauren lately. He frowned for the first time in days. Up until this point, it had been nearly impossible for him to get upset when he was with Sonia, even though she was a little heavy for his 48-year-old body. "I have to tell you, Daddy, we thought you missed Mom by now," Michelle said. "We know she misses you." "Huh. I would have thought that with me gone, she'd be living life to the fullest. I know I was the anchor in the boat for her. I thought she'd bonded with them in our old bed." "Daddy," Jackie said while Sonia giggled and Michelle frowned. "She's not a slut, you know that." "Really? Think about that for a second. How many guys has she slept with since we broke up? And those are just the 2 I know about before I left." Both girls blushed and lowered their heads. "Wow, 2 guys a month for how many? 10 months, that would be 20 different guys. 3 guys a month would be 30. Seems like a lot to me," Sonia agreed. If looks could kill, Travis's daughters would drive Sonia to her grave in seconds. She was well aware of that fact. "Hey, don't blame me if a woman can't keep her legs closed," Sonia objected. Kids, we're not ruining my good weekend," Travis stated. "Sorry," all 3 young women muttered simultaneously. "So, you're a couple?" Jackie asked Sonia quietly. You don't look any older than me." "Your father says we're the same age, but don't worry. I'm not going to be your stepmother someday. We're just friends. He's a great guy. He was my date to the wedding reception last night. And he's very handsome. Did I mention he's a great guy too?" "Well, we have to agree that he's a great guy, even though we know he can be a bit of a jerk from time to time," Jackie said. "And yes, he's very likable. For a guy who's old enough to be your dad." It was Sonia's turn to blush. Travis blushed too. "Hey babe, remember we have a lunch with the newlyweds' families at the hotel at noon? I need to shower and get some clothes from my apartment before we go," Sonia said. Both daughters rolled their eyes at their father. "Mom, she was my age," Jackie told her mother over lunch a few weeks later. "And it didn't seem like a one-and-done thing." They spent some time together. They enjoyed each other's company. I don't think he'll be crawling back to you anytime soon, Mom. No, you just caught him on a good day. He was probably helping a friend's child and got lucky. She's probably a whore who'll sleep with anyone. Your father is a great guy, but he's not a stud, Jackie. Jackie raised her eyebrows at her mother. You always seemed pleased with him until you said you were going to leave him. Why didn't you just cheat on him without saying anything? Wouldn't that have been so much easier? You could have had your cake and eaten it too. That would have been cheating, Jackie, and if he had caught me, we would have been finished. By telling him I wasn't cheating and I was sure he'd give me what I wanted when he realized he could lose it. I have to admit, I didn't expect the divorce to happen. I never thought he would have the courage to do it. Mom, I think you mistook love for weakness. And somewhere along the way, you decided it was up to you. Was it all worth it? For the first time, Lauren's face reflected the tension she'd been through. Rose had said it had been so much better than it had turned out to be, but no, it hadn't been worth it. She also couldn't tell her daughter that she never thought Travis could be doing anything other than pining for his beautiful ex-wife. She was so wrapped up in herself that she didn't even realize that a handsome, though not gorgeous man with a fine character, intelligence, and a solid job could be very much in demand in the single-man market, and not just among middle-aged women. She knew that since her divorce, her ex-husband had dated several women, including her longtime friend Connie and now some young woman. Instead of sitting at home and crying over his past life, he had been going out on dates like a lonely 20-year-old. She hadn't said anything to Connie when she found out that her friend had gone on a date with her ex the first time, figuring it was some sort of pity date. But the second date had turned out to be completely unnecessary, and she had informed Connie, privately and in a rather loud tone. I thought we were friends, Con, Lauren declared. You were supposed to be on my side. We girls are supposed to have each other's backs. But he hasn't done anything bad to you, Lauren. And he's a good guy, a great guy. He's everything I want to see in a man. Why don't I go on a date with Trev? Hell, women are lining up to go out with him. He's a beef on the hook, girl. And he's great for dating. And in bed, too. I'll go out with him anytime he asks me out. How can you say no to a man like that? Lauren just stared at her friend with her mouth open. She was only now beginning to realize that she was deluded. She loved Travis. She hated coming home to an empty house at the end of the day. She hated sleeping alone at night. Travis, of course, never imagined that his life would become as exciting as it had become. He would have been quite happy if his former boring life had stayed the way it was, but regardless, life suited him just fine. He had a good job and his social life was top-notch. He enjoyed hanging out with several women, and most of his dates ended in bed. He certainly wasn't looking for a long-term partner at the moment. There was more to life than being married to a beautiful woman. Marla Goodling's shoulder-length silver hair with a few purple streaks was gathered into a ponytail coming out of a hole in the back of her Chicago Cubs baseball cap. She was 60 years old. In the left grandstand at Wrigley Field Stadium, she gathered more than enough stares. One of those looking at her appreciatively was the man she was with, Travis Wesley, the ex-husband of one of her longtime employees, Lauren Wesley. She and Travis were at a Cubs game as part of their weekend trip to Chicago. Marla has worked with Lauren Wesley for over 15 years. She met Travis at several company events where he accompanied his then-wife and always thought he was a good-looking and nice guy. She knew that he and Lauren had divorced about 2 years ago. Marla had already been a widow for about 5 years. Her longtime husband had been killed in a car accident. In that time, she'd only had one date before she'd decided to take Travis's phone number. Yes, Travis remembered her. He thought it was hard to forget a woman who seemed to radiate both class and beauty. Would he like to have dinner with her? Sure, he replied. It had been a couple months ago. Their first date had been at an upscale restaurant, after which they had gone to a concert at the Philharmonic. the tickets for which Marla had provided. The evening ended with a kiss at the front door of her house. The second date was a Saturday hike on the trails, and the woman giggled several times when a visibly tired Travis had to take short breaks during the day. It turned out that she and her late husband had been avid climbers and trail hikers, and while Travis thought he was in pretty good shape, it turned out he was wrong. He also learned that Marla had the trim body of an older woman, as well as mesmerizing gray eyes. The date ended with Marla and Travis making tender love on the rug in the living room of her home after hot kisses on the couch. She intrigued him with her combination of wealthy class and the freshness of a girl from the neighbor's yard. Marla happily agreed when Travis suggested she spend a weekend sightseeing in Chicago as part of their third date. On their first date, Marla told Travis that she had no intention of telling Lauren that they were dating. She wouldn't deny it if asked about it, but she wasn't going to advertise the fact. Marla also told Travis that Lauren had informed her co-workers that she and Travis were divorcing because of irreconcilable differences. Travis told Marla the same story he had told everyone else, that Lauren had cheated on him with at least 2 different men. He didn't elaborate any further. In the 2 years since his divorce, Travis had had several solid relationships and was enjoying what he thought was an amazing life. All of his female partners had a good opinion of him, and several of them hoped to be considered for him when Travis started trusting women again and wanted to get married. Lauren, on the other hand, acted in a different direction. As she told her then-husband before their first date, she was simply looking for satisfaction while she still had the looks to attract almost any man. She wasn't looking for an emotional relationship like most of her partners. This basic difference between the 2 former partners was a problem for Jackie. She and her mother were immersed in planning the upcoming wedding, which her father was happily paying for, when Lauren told her daughter that she thought both parents should attend the wedding without dating so there would be less tension. Jackie quickly agreed with the idea and relayed it to her father that same week as they chatted over lunch. "Does this brilliant idea belong to you or your mother?" Travis asked hoarsely. "I'm planning on inviting a couple with me. I'm paying for this party and I'm going to have fun with whoever I bring. Hell, I've been taking dance lessons for about a year now, ever since you announced your engagement." "You've been taking dance lessons? Seriously, just for my wedding? That's so sweet, but..." "No buts, Jackie. Apparently, she doesn't have anyone she considers close enough to invite, so she's trying to drag me along, too. Once again, she's being a selfish bitch and trying to manipulate the situation in her favor. Sorry, babe, but I'm not going as a bachelor party to my own daughter's wedding. If you don't have the guts to tell her that, I sure do. She can go alone or bring a date, that's up to her." "I'll bring a date," Travis said. "I'll do it myself, Dad. I'll tell her. Your reasoning is right. And I really want to see you dance. But you'll still want to bring someone older than me. I can do that, baby. But you have to see Sonia and I dance." Travis smiled broadly and got a wide smile in return. For the wedding, Travis took Connie Myong with him. In Travis's opinion, she looked stunning in the sea green dress that she bought and he paid for. They argued over the fact that he had bought the dress. Travis explained to the woman that since he was the father of the bride and needed to be in a tuxedo, she needed a new dress, which he happily bought. "And yes, I realize it also needs shoes to go with it," he told her with a wide smile on his face. Walking his eldest daughter down the aisle had been one of the most pleasant and most unpleasant experiences of Travis's life. All the other fathers who had told Travis it would be like this had failed miserably, he noted to himself. Nevertheless, the day had been wonderful, he had to admit. He, Connie, and his children had had fun and danced into the night. The only thing that had brought discord to the day was the appearance of his ex-wife with a date of her own. Not that Travis cared, but the date spent most of the first part of the wedding smirking at Travis and then spent most of the second part of the night hitting on several women like an obnoxious drunk, until Jackie asked her mother to remove the guest. Lauren, clearly embarrassed, apologized and quickly escorted the man out the door. Before leaving with her beau, Lauren still took the time to follow Connie into the women's restroom. "You man-stealing bitch," she said to Connie once they were in the restroom. "Sorry, but I've never stolen men from anyone," Connie replied. "He divorced you before we even started dating. You have no one to blame for that divorce but yourself. You gave up a fine man for cheap entertainment." Lauren's face turned crimson. Her eyes, which at first had been gazing intently at the other woman, suddenly dimmed. She lowered her head and stood motionless as Connie walked out the door. Connie didn't say a word to Travis or the family, as she didn't want to ruin the special day. A few months after the wedding, Michelle visited her father and looked fussy. Travis watched her for a while before popping the question. "Okay, Mitch, what's going on? You've been kind of jumpy all night," Travis said. Michelle blushed thickly and began to stutter. Travis realized something was wrong. "Dad, I know Mom talks from time to time about getting back together with you, about how she's going to win you over when she stops having fun with other guys. And you two, haven't been doing anything else, have you?" she asked. "My life is none of your business, young lady," snapped Travis. "But no, I haven't slept with your mother. Why?" "Because she has an STD, Daddy. I heard the end of her conversation with her friend Rosa, and she told her that she has syphilis," Michelle said quietly, without looking her father in the eye. Travis looked surprised and then sad, as Michelle watched him with the edge of her eye. "I assume you're telling me this because you care about me," Travis said. "But it's standard state policy to inform all possible recipients of the disease that they need to be tested." "I didn't know that. I was just taking care of you, Dad," she said. "I know Mom is still sleeping soundly. Several of my friends have warned me that she's a real slut. It's always embarrassing when a friend tells you your mom is a slut." A few days later, Travis received a nasty phone call from Marla. He immediately realized that she was concerned about the same things that were bothering Michelle, although she obviously had her own health issues as well. "If you're wondering if I slept with my ex, the answer is not just no, but hell no," Travis said. "Believe me, Marla, I understand your concern, but I can't help it if my ex is a piece of work." "The billet is the nicest thing I've heard from her lately," Marla said. "In recent months, her outward activity has been the subject of gossip at the water cooler. It seems the longer she's been single, the less discreet she is." Lauren used her STD as a starting point in her plan to get Travis back. She was satisfied that she had survived enough men to last the rest of her life, and set in motion her plan to get Travis back 6 months after the doctor said she was cured. She was still a little resentful of Travis for divorcing her the first time, which was not part of her original plan. She figured her then-husband would never decide to divorce a woman like her, knowing that the chances of him being able to find another in her class were slim. The plan might have worked if Travis hadn't started being pursued by other women. Lauren had no doubt she was a catch, but she hadn't anticipated that Travis would feel the same attraction to other women. "I know he's a great guy, but can't these women see that he's not up to my level?" she said to Rosa one day as the two women sipped margaritas at the bar, waiting for a date for the evening. Rosa nudged her friend to think about her current lifestyle. She knew that Travis was handsome enough, but had greatly underestimated the depth of his personality, also because he seemed to always be subservient to his wife. She expected Travis to just sit around and mope while his wife had fun with other men. Who would have thought that Travis had so much game in him? Lauren and Rosa had been watching Travis since Lauren had given him the ultimatum. And truth be told, it appeared that his life had been almost as full as Lauren's. Since the divorce became official, if Lauren had been more honest with herself, she might have recognized that emotionally, her ex-husband's life had been much better. Travis dated and seemed to be having sincere fun with his partners. Lauren was having fun with hers, although neither of them had contracted an STD. She noted that it was dragging on. Maybe it was time to reconnect them with Travis, Lauren concluded. Travis was more than surprised by the voice on the other end of the line. He hadn't spoken to his ex-wife in almost 2 years. One of his daughters must have given her his new cell phone number. He hadn't forbidden them to do so, but he said he didn't think it was appropriate to ever speak to her directly again. "Hi, Trev," she purred in her most pleasant tone. "I think it's time we had a talk. I thought we weren't going to talk until Michelle got married. But since that's not happening, why don't we get back to talking?" Travis said. Still the same Travis. Still trying to deny that you don't love me, but you know you do. You know you want me back? Still the same Lauren, he replied. Still thinking everything revolves around you. Look, Trav, I realize you're still mad at me, but I really do love you. I probably should have just cheated on you and kept you in the dark, but that would have been cheating. It was still cheating, Lauren. Just because you told me you were going to do it doesn't make it any less true. You did it because you thought I would never give up on you. How pathetic do you think I am? Travis said. I know you think you have 10, hell, you think you have 12, but it's more than that. You're wonderful. I don't need to live in your shadow. As I've been told more than once, I'm not just the husband of a beautiful woman. Other women want what I have to offer and are willing to repay me emotionally. The last few years have been wonderful for me. Why would I want to date a selfish woman again who clearly doesn't respect me? And no matter what she says, doesn't love me the way I loved her. Loved, past tense. Disconnecting, Travis put the phone down and turned to the woman beside him. Ready for round two? He asked Sonia. Sonia eventually found her soulmate and married him, while Connie and Marla continued their relationship with Travis. He loved them both in his own way, but never married them. They loved him in their own way too, and both women embraced this joint relationship. A few years later, they were invited to join Travis at the wedding of his second daughter, Michelle. This did not please Lauren, who did not invite a single guest to this wedding. She nagged her daughter, but Michelle was not appeased. Next to me, Jackie and her family, Connie and Marla are the two people closest to Daddy in the world, Michelle replied. They love Daddy for who he is and put him above their own selfish interests, which is something not everyone can say. You had him. You gave him away for extra entertainment. Why? Simply because you feared old age and thought he had no other options. He would never have given up on you. Not for anything or anyone. Travis was happy with the way he lived his life, even if it wasn't his first choice. He had gotten out of a situation he thought was unacceptable. Lauren's life wasn't one of loneliness and remorse. After all, she was still a beautiful woman, and beautiful women often just need to show up enough for men to start hitting on them. Lauren had been hit on often and had had quite a few short-term relationships. However, none of them developed into something long-term. In retrospect, Lauren had to admit that she felt remorse when she told her then-husband that she was going to leave him, only because she still couldn't understand how Travis had given up on her so easily. How she could have miscalculated so cruelly, she often wondered to herself. She was 12. He was only 6. It wasn't supposed to end like this, the end. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for the next videos.